gorilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animals gather right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of our chicken coop build series. So on this episode, it may be a bit of a short one. We'll see what happens. I kind of usually say that and it turns into a long one. They've been going in upwards of an hour lately, so I may want to try and cut that back a little bit just so you guys can actually take in the content on a convenient basis. So with that said, I kind of got a short list of things that I want to do tonight. First and foremost is to finish the sheathing on the roof. As well, I want to get my Gable Vents put in. So I've gone out and I've bought a 4 1/4 inch hole saw. I had some drainage pipe left over from some weeping tile drainage that I had to do around the house before. So that's some 4-inch drainage pipe. And what I'm going to do is put some 4 1/4 inch holes in the gables, put that pipe between the outside and the inside, and then I have some nice vents, which I'll show you later, just because I don't have them here at hand to show you right now. But you will see them as we go along. So between sheathing the roof and getting those vents put in, that might take a little while, and it may be enough just for this episode. But if we do have some extra time, I do have it in my mind that we may do some styrofoam insulation of the ceiling inside once the sheathing is done and the vents are done. So that's our short list of things to do this episode. We'll see how much of that gets done and if any extra gets done on top. Alright, so without further ado, there's not much else to say, so let's just get right to it. So if you recall from our last sheathing session, we've been doing a 3/4 inch overhang on the front of the chicken coop, or the back, depending on what side we're working on. And on the sides we've been doing a 1/2 inch overhang. So as far as from the peak down to the end of the eaves, we've been pretty steady with our measurement of 35.5 inches. So I'm going to verify that. I'm just going to copy the piece that's already up there, measure down, and indeed we are at 35.5 inches. Now the larger piece here, we need a length on this of what's remaining. Remember, we had to cut back by 1 rafter just because I actually undercut and had to correct that error. So as a result, this side has a bigger gap to fill than the other because I learned from my mistakes when I did the other side. So the measurement on this side, so I'm going to butt up against the plywood and then leave a 3/4 inch overhang, is going to give me 38 inches exactly. So 35.5 by 38 is going to be the measurement for this piece right here. So we'll get right to cutting that now. Going through my collection of plywood that I'm beginning to amass here, I found this one piece. I'm not sure exactly where this one came from, a smaller cut somewhere along the lines, but it is just big enough to accommodate our 35.5 by 38 size. So I'll go ahead and measure that off. I'll make sure I got my level nearby, our trusty ruler that we've been using. And I'll have that here at the ready. So I can see that already lengthwise this way is our longer side. So that's going to be my 38. So I'm going to measure 38 now, which is right here. And I'll measure 38 on the other side, which is right here. Alright. Now one thing that I'm seeing as well, and it's only me being particular, is there is a little break in the plywood on this side. So maybe if I measure back this way, I'll be able to cut that off. It may be, and it is just long enough to be able to eliminate that blemish. Now by all means you don't need to do that, because you know what, this is roof sheathing. It's going to be covered on the inside and it's going to be covered on the outside. So nobody's going to see this except me and you guys now. So this is purely out of being particular. Alright, there's no real need for what I'm doing here. So please realize that. This is just me being particular, as I have been pretty much with this whole build so far. And that's just one of my personality traits, I guess, is having things done very particularly. And if you can relate to that, welcome to my hell. Because you know what they say, ignorance is bliss. So I think there's a lot more blissful people out there than what we go through sometimes, hey? Alright, so I got my marking made. It's only 3 feet, so I'm not too worried about clamping the level down to get a perfectly straight edge, but at the same time, I might want to, just where we're dealing with an eve edge, you know, so the straighter we can get it. You know, sometimes I'm a little bit wavy with my skill saw usage. I'm not overly experienced with it, but I think for that distance, I'll wing it. I'll try to keep my hand good and straight. So I'll get this hanging off an edge. Good stuff. Like so. And I'm ready to cut. Now that we have our 38-inch cut made, and it actually turned out excellent the whole way across, so that went well. Now we need to measure 35.5. So I'm just having a quick look at the board, see if we have the same issues before with an edge that we'd like to cut off and prefer over the other. And I'm not seeing too much preferential wise. They're both pretty much of same character, and nothing on that side that I'm really looking to get rid of, other than maybe a few divots over there. So with that said, I'm happy enough to measure 35.5 this way. I'll get my level. There we are, and we're ready to cut again. With our cuts made, we can now check fitment. So I think we're looking at this orientation here. Actually, we'll flip it over like so. We're even here. And it looks like we have our desired overhangs. 3/4 and a half. So with that, I'm satisfied to tack that in place. I'll just start one down here. And just to show you as well, remember last episode I was having so many problems with my drill bits and drivers that I really had to evaluate the quality of what I was using. So since then I went back and got this nice DeWalt driver number 2, and so far it's working beautifully and is actually meant for an impact drill. So hopefully that's going to eliminate that problem and hopefully get some good use out of this. Over my build, I'm sure you've noticed by now that I kind of spend the extra and get the DeWalt brand name because it is a reliably known brand name, and they stand by their products, and as a result I try to stand by their products as well. And if they're watching, I would love to be sponsored. If you want to send me some stuff, you know, I'll show it off as best I can. Alright, so with that sellout done, we will continue with screwing on the roof. So with this side of the roof complete now, it's time to move on to our small area that we have on the other side. Now the thing with this small area on the other side, even though it's small, I don't have, without cutting into a brand new sheet, which I don't really want to do, to be honest, I don't have any plywood that fits in there perfectly, so I may actually have to make, you know, 1 or 2 pieces fit together to fill it. And it's not a big deal because there's going to be roofing paper put over all this, and eventually some kind of probably metal tin roofing material. But it is, you know, disappointing to not have it as pretty, say, and it's just that part of being particular. So you'll just notice that now when we do the other side, this is probably going to end up consisting of 2 separate pieces. And we'll try and find the optimal measurements to make sure they join rather strongly. You know, you want to have a good bonding point between them instead of just throwing them up haphazardly. All right, so with that, I'm going to get this turned around, and we'll be right back. So now we'll measure up this side of the roof and see what we're dealing with. So I'm going to say the same thing, 35.5 down to the eave to give us that 1/2 inch overhang. But you know, whether or not we need 2 pieces to come down that length, we'll see. We'll verify our 35.5 to begin. Which is good. This one's actually a little bit more, 35.5 plus another 1/8. So, so maybe we would match it up to that. So it'll be what, 35 and 6/8. Actually 5/8, sorry. Yeah, so 35 and 5/8. But this width now is the thing we need to wonder about. So we're at 21 inches of width, so to add on 3/4 to that, we're looking at 21 3/4. And same all the way up. So I'm going to try and find pieces now that are going to fit what we require of 21 3/4 by 35 and 5/8. And let's see what I find. I'll do that off camera. This is just me rumbling through a pile of wood. Alright, so what I ended up finding was this piece here. It's full sheet length, 8 feet, and it is 12.5 wide. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my 35 5/8 in length. I'll mark that now. And I'll get this put up, and you'll see why I'm just going to put it straight up, because I got a whole lot of nailing surface on the top there, and I got no trouble of this overlapping to any point up there where that big chunk of wood is for screwing on the eave. It's going to go past the first rafter and then some. So I have no problem having a nailing surface for this at this width. So I definitely don't need to touch the width of it. Whereas the next piece that I do, that's when I will adjust the width as needed. Alright, so I'll go ahead, cut this to length, and we'll screw that up on the ceiling. So that piece went up quite well, no issues with that. So I'm going to measure off our remainder, and we'll see what we need to reach the end now. So this time, like I say, we're going to do that 35 and 5/8, but our width is going to have to be cut to size now as well. So that's going to be our important measurement that we do right now. So we're looking at 8.5 inches to the edge. We'll add 3/4 onto that, so we're looking at 9.25. Alright, so 9.25 out to the edge there will be our width by 35 5/8 long. So this will be 2 skill saw cuts that we'll do right now. I'll begin with the 35 5/8. Use my speed square to extend those lines. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'll get that one cut first. And we'll go from there with the 9 3/4, I believe it was, in terms of width. And just double check that this is the side we're keeping, 35 5/8. Perfect. So now 9 3/4. I'm just going to double check that measurement real quick. So no, it's not 9 3/4, it's 9 1/4. Good thing I double checked. Alright, so 9 1/4 in width. I'll just get my level to complete that mark. Like so. This is one of those cuts that I would probably prefer to do on the table saw, but since it's only one cut like it, it's just as well that I'll clamp it onto the bench and do it that way. So that wasn't so bad, and getting the table saw out just to do that one cut would have been a bit too much trouble for what it was worth. I'll take this piece now that we just cut, put it up in place and see how it fits. And it matches up with our plywood on the other side, and nicely with the plywood here on this side. That's enough for me to go ahead and get this tacked in. And there we are, that's the roof officially sheeted. So what's left for the roof will be the tar paper, the roofing felt, some drip edge. I think the drip edge goes under the felt, if I remember correctly. I'll have to look that up to definitely know. So I'll probably have to do drip edge, which I don't have yet, so I'll have to buy that first. And I'll probably be doing that part outside, because I've added so much height onto the roof of this now that I'm really playing with fire in terms of getting this out through the door. I think I had 6 foot 10 inches to be able to wheel this out, and I think I'm like 6 foot 9.5, if not a little bit more right now. So any more than this now, and I don't think I'd be able to wheel this out the door, and we'd have to get very creative by taking this off of the wheels and find some way to get it out at a lower height. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So I'm not going to do anything else that adds any distance or bulk to the roof. So next on the list for us tonight is the Gable Vents. So I think I got a pretty good plan. I think I've thought it out fairly well. And that is the 4-inch pipe going from the outside to the inside. And the reason I want to use that pipe is because it's creating a channel that's going to focus the air through, instead of it getting like halfway through the wall and then dispersing air in amongst the insulation in the gable. This pipe will make sure that the air stays more of a linear flow and carries through and creates a good circulation loop within the coop. And as well, it'll maintain the integrity of the insulation inside the wall to keep moisture and that from getting inside the actual wall compartment and getting that insulation wet. So I think that's my rationale. I never read it anywhere. I'm just kind of going with my own gut feeling on that one. And I think it's just an easier way of doing the vents, to be honest with you. Because if these little steel vents that I'm putting in the gable, these aluminum vents, if they get damaged, anything like that, I just get another one, pop it right back in the pipe, and we're going again. We're good, right? Or if worst came to worst, I could put mesh over the outside of the pipe, and that'd be a good enough vent, you know. So I'm happy with that. So we'll do that first, and if we do anything else after that, we will see. I think it'll be kind of a bigger job getting inside the coop and starting to put up that styrofoam insulation will be the next step if we were to proceed beyond the gable vents. So we'll see how much time they take. I'm going to do them right. It's going to involve probably 4 cuts with the hole saw, as well as getting them measured out so that, you know, we got a straight through pipe with accurate measurements. So that's yet to be seen if we end up with a straight through pipe with accurate measurements. Alright, so I'm going to get this turned around so the gables are within view and start explaining my line of attack that I'm going to be trying with this. And hopefully it works out. So what I have here is the 4-inch aluminum Gable Vent, I guess is what they're called. The sticker is over the other sticker, so I can't really read it. But it has a 4-inch diameter on the primary connection point here. So this here is the 4-inch, this right here, it's 4-inch diameter. And it also has a couple of metal clips, almost like just metallic spring-like clips that will push on the outside of the opening that it's inserted into. Now I think they're more designed for, say, an actual lip, like a piece of plywood or something to go past and then lock behind. Whereas what I have here is the drainage pipe, 4-inch drainage pipe. Alright, it's non-porous, it's all just PVC sewer pipe is what is written on the side of it there. But it's 4-inch diameter. So this, and then we get the resistance of the clips. I give it a push. There you go, it's locked into place. Alright, and it can be pulled out relatively easy. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll put a little bit of caulking around the inside of it, and that should seal it to the pipe so that it doesn't blow off. I don't think it will blow off anyways. I may just keep it with the press fit tightness, but if needed I can put some caulking in there. But I will be caulking around the outside of the pipe anyways to prevent air and water intrusion into the wall cavity. So when I do that, maybe I'll just fill this little lip in here full of caulking as well, push that on between that and the wall, and that'll be sealed very nicely. So this should be relatively easy. Famous last words, I know. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to be measuring from the mid part of the window straight to the middle of the peak. Find my midpoint, which will be somewhere around here, and then I'm going to put my hole. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside, and I'll actually just measure up from the middle on the inside because I'm not going to have this eave as a landmark on the inside. I think I do have the rafters there, but I'll probably just find a measurement to make sure I'm exactly the same, and I'll drill a hole on the back. I'll take a carpenter knife, make an entry and spread the insulation back out of the way, fit a piece of pipe in that hole, and then we'll seal it up. So I think this should take long enough that this will probably be the last thing we do tonight, just to keep it a quick video this time around. Alright, so what I will do is I get this pipe to stand up on its own. So this window should be 1 foot. It's actually a little bit more than a foot. It's more like 1 1/4. So it is 1 1/4 foot. So I'll do 6 1/8 as the midpoint. 6 1/8. It's right there. Alright, then I'm going to take a straight edge of some kind. This will do. I'm just going to line this up as best I can with the peak. That looks pretty straight to me. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think so. I got a line drawn there. Alright, now I'm going to find the distance of that line and divide that in half. That is 12 1/4 as well, so I'll do 6 1/8 up. I like to do it this way. 6 1/8. So this right here should be my midpoint for drilling the hole with the hole saw. Alright, I'm going to go just do that on the inside, and I'll come back and we'll actually do our first cut with the hole saw. I've gone ahead, we did this one mark together. I've done the one on the inside of this wall, and I've done the 2 marks down on the other end in the exact same way. So there's nothing different about what I did on the other wall. So what we're going to do now, we got our 4-inch hole saw and our drill, and we'll go ahead and make our first cut, stopping when we get through the plywood. So you put your drill bit right on the X in the middle of that. Go slowly but purposefully, and don't let your wrist get twisted, because this can dig in pretty easily. Like so. You gotta be careful of this. Don't just go flat out. You gotta be ready for that kick. Now some people will go backwards. Backwards takes a bit longer, but is definitely safer. And there we go, that's the first one done. Definitely not for the faint of heart doing these larger holes, because there's an awful lot of wood for your drill to grip in on. With that hole now done, I'm going to go ahead and go inside, and I'll do the inside hole. Now that the hole is successfully cut all the way through, alright, I'll just parton the insulation. See, you can see we're all the way through. So now we need to know how much or how long the piece of pipe we need has to be to make it all the way through, and that is exactly 4.5 inches. So with a handsaw, I'm just going to get the pipe and cut a 4.5 inch piece off. Here's our pipe. We're going to measure back 4.5 inches. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but once again, it is pouring rain and the wind is howling. You're going to start thinking that I live somewhere tropical soon with all the rain every day. And you couldn't be further from the truth if that was even a thought that crossed your mind. Because this ain't tropical up here in Canada. Alright, so just marking 4.5 inches. to see how well I can cut sewage pipe. I'm going to guess not that well, but we'll see. Trying to brace a round pipe is not the easiest. There we are, a little piece of 4.5 inch. A little bit wonky, but not bad. So with that piece cut, I'm actually going to do another now, because I'm going to need it for the other side. And then I can put my handsaw away. Yeah, we definitely cut a bit of an angle there, I don't know. Without a, I suppose I could have done it on the miter saw. Ooh, that's an idea. I like that idea. Let's go over and use the miter saw, just because we can. Alright, so first I'll try my luck at cleaning up the edge. Let's see how that goes. Brace this on the side as best I can. Let's see what happens. I like it. Ooh, I'm covered in pieces of plastic now, but it's worth it. Let's do 4.5 inches. I like it a lot. Yes, sirree. Let's do it again. Alright, here we go. Oh, that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We'd be looking all professional up in this house. Making a mess, but so be it. Alright, well, let's do another one. Let's have two nice looking ones. Alright, you've all learned it here. Use your miter saw for doing your sewage pipe. Make you look good. Here we go again. That is lovely. I'm gonna need the leaf blower though to clean this place up after that. You guys see all this mess? There's our two pieces done. So now I'll take my pipe, push my insulation back out of the way as best I can, and I'll probably try and do that from the other side while I advance this in the hole as needed. A little bit of resistance on the other side there. There we are. And there you have it. That's our pipe. I'll probably find some way of securing that in there. I'll probably some kind of glue. But now I'll get our vent just to show you what this is going to end up looking like. I'll push that in there. And there you have it. Voila! The Shangri-La à la poulet. You know, I like it. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a nice solution. And it pulls off as needed, and the pipe is left there. I'm thinking maybe I will probably put a bit of caulking around the outside of this and then push it in place, and hopefully it'll seal itself in there. It's a good fit there now, but it is mobile, right? It will move. I would like to have it locked into place. Now whether maybe some wood glue, I could try some of that and just see if it sets. All right, that'd be an idea, and I'll grab some Gorilla Glue now actually, and we'll try that. And when I come out next time, we'll see if it's locked into place. So I'll take that out. Some glue all the way around. I'm going to let it run in a little bit on the body. We want to really try and tamper this in here. And I'll do this edge. So we're really covering this thing. Go big or go home, right? It's probably all going to scrape off on my hands now when I put it in the hole. Alright, so she's good and gluey. So push that insulation back out of the way as best I can. And let's go for it. Give it a twist as I go. So kind of encourage the glue to come with it. Alright, so we'll wipe off some of this extra. I don't know. I think it might work at first glance. We'll see. Tidy it up a little bit. I think that's really good actually. It might work. We'll see how much of the glue retracts away as it dries. But as a start, I think we got a good little solution here. Put a little bit more up on this side. Almost like soldering at this point in time. Trying to solder the edges. There we are. I like it. I like it. I'll give you guys a closer look there now. And there you have the finished product. Some of the glue is kind of making its way down here. It may run a little bit, but I can tidy that much as it fills the gaps. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll take this drizzle off the bottom. I'm just being particular again here now. Okay, so that's one side done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the whole chicken coop around, and we'll go ahead and do the other side. We'll now move on to the front for the hole saw again. Once again, I'm just going to go forwards enough to get the drill bit in through the X, and then at that point I'm going to put the blade backwards again. I find that going forwards in wood is way too grabby. Now I could put the handle on the side up here. I don't know if that would help against the jarring motion, but it does snap pretty quick even at a low speed. And it kind of like the snap that you get almost makes your trigger finger speed it up. So with that being said, I'm going to start off going forwards just to get the drill bit in, and then I'll resume going backwards like I did before. There we go, we're through. Now I'm going to go backwards. Going backwards is definitely slower, takes more time as a result, but it's definitely going through a lot safer. Whereas if I were to go forward, even just slowly, alright, you really got to fight it. Like so, which I don't like to do. When you can just go backwards and be a whole lot safer. So I highly suggest you go backwards and deal with the extra 30 seconds that it takes to do it. And now I'm going to go inside and I'll do the return hole from inside out. Now we're going to go backwards. There we go, we're through. And we also had the convenience of the blade unscrewing a little bit, so I don't need to wrestle with that now. It wasn't exactly intentional, but I'll take it. I don't have my knife here, so I'm just going to use the whole side to go through the plastic. It goes through the plastic in probably 1/8 of a turn or less. It's quite useful. Alright, so with that, this is the side that I kind of used a few scrap pieces to do the insulation. So it's a lot easier for me to find a hole to stick the pipe through. Now let's see. I'll do the pipe from the outside. Instead of just putting on the glue and going for it, I am just going to test fitment to be sure, even though I know the other one worked out fine, this one will work out fine too, but in the odd chance that there's something that's going to stop it, I'd rather just ensure. Alright, like right now there's a few little splinters of wood getting in the way. I'm just picking those away. See, right now this would be awful messy if I had put the glue on right off the bat. There we go. So, and that's a good fit. So I'll take that back out, fill it full of glue. Now another thing about this Gorilla Glue, I was using the Lepage or Lepage, whatever you want to call it, and I found it's set a lot faster than this. This stuff is type 2 water resistance. I find that this is taking a long time to set, and as a result on the other hole it's still running out. Whereas the Lepage, I think, you know, within 5 minutes that stuff was nearly set. This stuff is kind of milky in consistency compared to that. But it's good glue, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not fast setting. Now to be fair, the Lepage stuff, that actually has fast setting written on it. So that would be a good excuse for this not to be fast setting, since it doesn't have it written on it. When in doubt, give it a smack. Alright, now I gotta clean the glue off myself and stop these drips. It's not dripping on the inside, it's only here on the outside. Okay, so tidy that up. And I can tidy that up with caulking once the glue is dry on another day. But I'll give it the same treatment as I gave the other side. I'll kind of give it that soldering experience here. See if the gap will suck the glue in. There we go. Clean that up a little bit, and we'll call that done. With the gable vents now finished, we are another step closer to completion. So we're going to do this bit by bit. You know, all these separate episodes actually take a lot of time. You know, I'm doing things very particularly, as you've noticed by now, I'm sure. And as a result, it's kind of slow, plus filming it and then compiling it all together takes a lot of time. So numerous sessions. I don't know what part we're up to now, whether we're up to 13 or 14 and 12, I don't really know. But I'm not really concerned about that part of it. I'm just glad that we're doing this together. We're doing it carefully, we're doing it methodically, and we're doing it with the care that these living animals, our chickens, are going to want and deserve. You know, yes, we eat lots of chicken, but these are going to be laying chickens. They're not meat chickens. These are directly for laying and providing my family with food and entertainment and pets and learning, education about biology and nature and the food chain. Right, so these are valuable animals that I want to protect, and I want them to have the best chance possible at living healthy, long lives and being productive in their egg production for us. So, so it goes both ways. I take care of them and hopefully they'll take care of us. So that's the point I keep making as to why this is taking so long and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I hope you guys understand that that's what's going on here. So with that said, I think the vents turned out quite well. I haven't seen anyone else do this method of putting a 4-inch pipe through to mount a 4-inch gable vent. It's probably not unique, but at the same time maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's unique or not. But you've seen it here, and you'll find out whether or not it works. I think it'll work quite well, especially once I get a bit of caulking put around the outside. I think it'll be nice and weather tight and maintain controlled ventilation within the coop. So the sheathing is done on the roof. Next episode we'll get to the foam board insulation and vapor barrier that. And if that goes well and quickly, then I would look at cutting the sheeting for the ceiling inside. And once that's done, we're in the game. We're getting towards the last inning at that point in time. We just got to frame up some more nesting box stuff and make windows and doors. Still a big list, but we're getting through it. Is the main point. All right. So sheathing's done. Vents are done. My wrists are still intact, not broken from the hole saw. So if you're going at that hole saw, I tell you, you saw it. As soon as I was explaining it to you, you saw a first-hand example of what that thing can do if you let that snap, if you just give it to her with your finger, you know, and hit the throttle. You got to be ready for that kick, and don't let it snap your wrist. You can really mess up your wrist if you're not expecting it and get a good brace on your drill, okay? Because even when I had a good brace on that drill, and that still snapped up, and it can also squeeze your hand or a finger or something between the battery and the wood that it impacts as well. So just a little safety Sally notice for you, okay, on that whole ordeal. But I'm satisfied with progress for tonight. I'm going to get this video to you guys as soon as I can. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you subscribe. I hope you like the video. I hope you comment and tell me how you're enjoying the series so far if you are watching it. If you haven't watched the whole series to how we got to this point, I invite you to please go back to episode 1, start from there, and catch back up with us in the meantime. And it really helps the channel grow and move forward with the watch time and the likes and the comments and subscriptions, and it kind of triggers YouTube to promote my channel more if you show that you're enjoying the content, and I hope you are. And I hope you're learning something. I'm not a professional, I'm not a carpenter, you know, and I'm not trained in the carpentry field. I'm learning this as I go. I bought all these tools and I'm figuring them out how to make stuff. All right, and that's, to me, that's the name of my channel. It's part of being mansome. All right, and what mansome is that you may not be handsome, but you can be manly, and that makes you mansome. All right, so that's where it comes from, in case you're wondering. So with all that said, I hope you're happy, and I hope you're healthy. Take care of each other, and peace out.